Appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all for coming out. Welcome. I am fired up to finally get to go on the grass and have a ball out there on the grass and get to throw it around and practice a little ball. So we're excited as a staff, energetic and kind of rejuvenated, probably the right word, after a little summer break, getting away from the players, and I'm ecstatic to get out there and get going. You know, our strength staff, Scott Sinclair, Ed Ellis, Aaron Feld, Rodney Prince, those guys have done an outstanding job this summer of preparing our guys. I thought they were very well organized. They showed some really good strength gains in the weight room. From a conditioning standpoint, I think they changed it up so it didn't get boring and monotonous for the players. You know, the days I was able to go out there and watch, I was really impressed with what all they did with the players. Now, with that said, I think football shape is a little different than just conditioning. You know, we're going to add the mental aspect, we're going to add the helmet aspect, we're going to add constant reps, and things are going to be happening on the fly where you got to think and run. So that part of getting in shape is a little different than what they've been training. So that's important. You know, we preached 3 things to our players last night. The big things we talked about was having a successful fall camp. Every one of you want to ask me about the season, how the season is going to go. Our goal, our objectives for camp are really simple. Because I think it's simple for the players when you make it this way. Number one, we're looking for leaders. We're looking for leadership. You know, every team is defined by the leadership they have, and I don't know exactly who those leaders are going to be. I've had 15 practices of spring ball, had some really good summer workouts. But these next 28, 29 practices are what's going to determine who our best leaders are. And when we talk about leadership, we're talking to them about being receptive of leadership as well. I mean, we got some guys that can be leaders, but how are the other guys on the team going to handle that leadership when it comes and confronts them? So that's a big part of what we're going to do. The willingness to buy into the team concept, which I think is archaic in today's day and age. A lot of guys are all about me. The willingness for our team to kind of accept in camp that there's a team concept. There's only one ball. So there's 10 guys on offense that don't have a ball. So what you do without the ball is a lot more important than what you do with the ball. And we're preaching that to the offensive players. On the defensive side of the ball, hey, there's going to be certain guys that have better statistics. Linebackers are going to have more tackles than corners and D linemen. So it's about buying into the team concept and doing your job so that we can be successful in camp and have good production in camp so that we can be as good as we need to be. Then the third thing for us was making sure that every guy understands handling adversity and success the right way. You know, for me as a coach, how kids handle adversity in camp tells me a lot about them. We're going to try to simulate the ups and downs of a season in camp. There's going to be good days for the defense. There's going to be bad days for the defense. Same way on offense. How you respond to that. There's going to be players demoted. There's going to be players promoted in jobs on the depth chart. There's going to be movement the whole time. How they respond to that adversity will tell me a lot about them. Not only that, there'll be guys that have good scrimmage one. How are they going to scrimmage the second time? Because at the end of the day, they're going to be hot and cold, bought and sold, based on the whole year. We're trying to simulate that in a 29 practice routine and get them ready for the season. That's important that we establish those things in camp, as well as all the fundamentals of tackling, throwing the ball, catching the ball, securing the ball, and creating takeaways on defense. That's what we're targeting. That's what we want to do. So with that, I'll open it up to you guys.
If you have any questions, if you'll raise your hand, and we've got a couple of floor microphones, we'll get over to you.
Kirby, just when it comes to the transition that you as a coach make your players, the transition your players have to make to you, entering this first official day of practice, are you satisfied with where all that has come to, where that's at right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the transition is that's almost old news now after 15 practices in the spring, all the workouts, all the conditioning program. As far as the players being used to me and me used to them, I think that comfort level's there. I was probably there more present this summer than I've ever been before, just because I'm the head guy and I wanted to be as close as I could to the players. So I think they've seen more of me and been around me where they're comfortable with the demands that we have, the expectations we have. Now it's meeting them and doing it every day in practice.
From your time in Alabama, did you see a change in your ability to maintain focus and intensity through the long preseason schedule when you have a high-profile opener such as what you have this year?
Yeah, you know, the opener has nothing to do with the preseason camp whatsoever. I mean, the preseason camp is about the preseason camp. Regardless of who we're playing, we would have the same preseason camp schedule. It's not going to change based on the opponent. The goals and objectives of a preseason camp are to establish the identity of your team. And we've preached really hard to our players of what that identity is, but being a big physical football team, a downhill football team, and playing with toughness and relentless effort, those are the things we want to establish in camp. And that's what's important to me. Now, your ability to sustain that throughout camp comes from your endurance, your conditioning level, your ability to push through. But yeah, as a coach, I love camp. I think you get to simulate parts of the season that come up, trials and tribulations, good and bad, starting drills over. I mean, you get a lot of time to get the guys in the right frame of mind for the season.
Hey, Kirby.
What's up, Tim?
Talking about processes and schedules, I mean, it seems like a lot of what you guys have done so far, what you've done so far, it resembles a lot of what has been done at Alabama in terms of schedules and processes and that kind of thing. How much would you say of your setup of camp and everything you've done to this point is kind of an Alabama template, and how much of kind of you kept Georgia, you know?
Right. I don't know what Georgia did before. So for you to ask that question, how much of it was kept the same as Georgia, I don't know that. You know, I didn't go back and research it and look at it and see what they did last year, the year before, how many practices they had, what time they practiced, what time they met. That's not really what's important for me. You know, we met as a staff. I met with both coordinators. We came up with the best practice organization for us. It's not an exact footprint of what was done in the last 9 years in Alabama, but it's pretty close. You know, so each practice, I think there's different needs we need as a team than the teams I was on before, you know, the teams I was part of before. So we're trying to cater to what the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, what all three of us need to get out of practice. We play in a different division. We play different opponents. Our personnel groupings we'll face on defense are different here than they were there. Just like on offense, Coach Chaney's saying we got to see some different looks. So there's parts of that that are different. They're not.
Kirby, you said after G-Day, you were asked to kind of assess the program, and you're like, well, I wasn't here before. But you did say that the summer conditioning would be another step toward that. I'm curious, as we enter the stage here of preseason, where are you as far, what do you know more about this program than maybe you did after G-Day?
Well, I know that the players are more willing to push through the pain and toughness to lift more weight. Okay, there's a theory out there that sometimes it hurts to push a little more and lift a little heavier. And some people are willing to do that, some people aren't willing to do that. And I think our guys have shown from spring through the summer that they're more willing to do that, to get under a bar that has more weight on it, to lift a bar that has more. They're not only capable, but they're more willing, you know. And I think that's really important. There's a difference in compliant and committed. And to me, compliant is just doing what's asked. Committed is doing whatever it takes. Okay, and I think that's where our kids are going. I don't know if they're there yet, but they are much past compliant on the way to committed on the continuum right now.
Two-part on the running backs. First, where's Sony at in his progression, and also is the plan still with Nick to pretty much push it as much as he can?
Yeah, I'll start with the first there. You know, Sony's going to be limited at the beginning. There's going to be things that he can and can't do from a standpoint. He's going to really work hard on the conditioning aspect early on. Not comfortable with him right now. He would have to fall or anything and brace himself, so he won't be as involved. Nick has been doing for the last 3 months everything the team has done. He will continue to do that, everything the team's done, and we'll continue to monitor his progress. Big thing for Nick is putting the ball in his hand, because that's what he really hadn't had outside of drill work.